Hello, my divine lovies, my besties, my tribe, my family, my beloveds, most of all. I want you to take in this statement and just tune into this for a second. This is something I really felt called to just share with you. So hearing this, whatever resistance you're experiencing or resistance in general, resistance is simply a reflection of what you are yet not willing to receive. So just think about that and tune into that for a second. Resistance is simply a reflection of what you're unwilling to receive. So this is big. This is something that can make a massive difference for you in being able to lean into resistance and allow yourself to receive what's on the other side of it. Or it can also stop you the fuck in your tracks, because we can spiritually bypass things by putting a frame or a meaning or a reference on something. So for instance, what I mean by that is, for years, the reason this is coming up and I really just was like, I get to share this. I'm totally just in my beingness, and when whatever comes through this is how I get to operate for the planet and be a vessel of truth and the messages to share. It's like, Marci, Sundari, this gets to come through. So I wanted to share this because I had someone that was seeing resistance in their body or heaviness in their body showing up as a reason to not move forward. And yes, Kate, truth will always feel light and it will always free you. Heaviness or the lies, they will always limit you. They will always feel heavy. So we can sometimes then go, well, I feel heaviness in my body about this thing, so that must mean that thing is not right for me. That thing, that resistance is heavy. There's heaviness with that. So see, then we want to go, oh, that means I'm going opposite direction of that. When the truth is, the resistance and the heaviness is what there's something involved there as to what you're unwilling to receive. So for instance, if you're, I'll give you an example. For me, like I've seen this happen with every single retreat I've ever run, because one of my companies, Ascension Adventures, is about doing adventures all over the world that are in-depth, deep, transformational experiences. I am such a believer of experiential training. Hence, I've gone all over the world to find the greatest avenues and ways of activating DNA, awakening and remembering, activating, clearing the cells of your body that are holding all this emotional energy and creating this resistance, and the programs that are operating from even your genetic imprinting. Long story short, Ascension Adventures is and my retreat experiences were always such depth training or transformational experiences that I would see every single time that there would be people that all this resistance, of course, would want to show up. Resistance will want to show up and be like, oh, it must not be the right time. Oh, I must be getting heavy or feeling heavy because it's not the right time, or this isn't right for me, etc. And what that resistance is reflecting is that it's like the ego mind knows, and I mean, there's a whole other subject I could go off on ego, and that the ego is really it's just like you're a part of you, your little boy, your little girl that you're actually wanting to learn to work with. But the constructs we've been given, and the ego mind goes, oh, when I do that thing and I know I remove all this resistance and I clear all that shit in front of me, then I'm going to receive way more love, way more abundance, way more joy in life, way more bliss. I am not ready and willing to receive that because I still in this moment in time do not believe I am worthy of receiving that. So resistance has to come up to keep you in the constructs of your conformity or your comfort, what you think is comfortable, your comfort zone. It's doing everything it can to keep you from moving through to receive the next thing. And this is the thing, is that knowing yourself, the things that will stop you are the things that will show up, because they've been the things that have stopped you in the past, the stories that have stopped you in the past, your deepest, darkest fears that will stop you in the past. If money's your shit, money stuff will show up. If, giving yourself permission to take time for you, etc., that will show up. If, any fear, see, and when you break down the fear of what's behind it, then you find what's the real story of why the resistance was there. So for instance, I have the only thing on my schedule for the entire, at all right now, is next March 2019 is what I'm talking about. The one thing I felt really called to do was my Remembrance to Wholeness experience, kind of retreat experience with my dear sister Amber, where we're going to be doing this in the San Diego Temple, and working with medicine, plant medicine, to go, because plant medicine is one of the most amazing gifts we have to kind of get ourselves into a place where the ego and the constructs of our humanity, all the things we've learned, are actually fuzzed over and faded, that allows us to more softly and easily receive all of these things, remove and clear all of these things out of our body, out of our belief systems, out of our programming, to feel and heal these things, that then literally you're activated with light, and you're operating in a frequency that can allow you to then attract only the frequency of light and bliss and joy and relationships and love, etc. But when you're operating this frequency of the collective mind, or like obviously the auric field we're sharing, the collective mind we're sharing, the only way to rise above that, living in that space, is to rise above it, to be in a frequency of love and joy and peace and bliss, which means I'm worthy. So, it's always been my experience that there's every single time there's people like, this showed up and this showed up and this showed up and this showed up. And there's been people that have chosen to not move forward. And then later they're like, I realized I was afraid of my ideas or stories of this happening, or da 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 da. And then for those that actually break down their stories of what the resistance is about, what they're unwilling to receive that's beyond, that resistance is just showing up to keep you stuck at where you're at. It's not to say, that this isn't right for you. It's to actually go, what's the stories, the beliefs, the programs that are stopping me here from what the intention is that I want to receive. If the intention is you want to receive more love, more joy, more bliss, more greatness, to heal yourself, then all you can receive is that, as you look into this resistance and lean into it and get to see what's there that's blocking receiving more love, more joy, more bliss, more harmony, and what that intention is. So those that I saw always move through this and give themselves permission to then go where they were feeling called, because you break down the stories and ideas, it's like, okay, well, then this is actually what's really true, and this story is really true. They received everything completely changed. And I wanted to create clarity for this, because I have taught for so long to people to feel into what's really happening when you're trying to use your head. See, your head is trying to confuse you. Your head's like, let me figure this out, let me think it through, let me see if this makes sense. Well, guess what? Nothing makes any fucking sense. Nothing. Because logic does not exist. Logic is a construct of the mind trying to see it a certain way. Well, guess what? You look at it through a different lens and you see it that way, and you can look at it through a different experience and see it that way. You can look at it through a different belief system or thought, etc., and see it another way. This is also why the frequency of your thoughts is so much less powerful than what the cells of your being are exuding. A single cell, the vibration of a cell, is 500,000 times stronger than the vibration of a thought. So again, when you just tell yourself these things over and over again, like, I'm receiving more love. Well, your body is like, no, love is fucking scary, my friend. No. We got to do everything to avoid love. Or because love, even if you're saying, I'm receiving more love, your internal representation, your understanding, your frequency and vibration, your experience of love could have been abusive. It could have been sacrificing yourself. It could have been all these things that is vibrationally what is going on. And so until you cleanse and clear yourself, this is really what it's about, is we all just want to return home, right? We all just want to go home. Like, have you noticed that, this is where it really all begins, is that we all just want to feel at home. You want to feel at home with yourself. You want to feel at home with your environment. You want to feel at home with life. Like, imagine for a second just feeling at home wherever you are, in whatever you're experiencing, in whatever time, space, etc., always feeling at home. Now, what our human mind or our experience or conformity in the stories and the programs and the domesticated ways we've been domesticated in are doing is are saying to us, I'll be at home when I get there. I'll be at home when I have the money and the success. I'll be at home when I feel at peace with my body and I'm living in a place that I feel good about myself. I'll be at home when I finally have peace in my relationship or the love of my life, or when I'm in divine union. I'll be at home when ABC is all lined up and it looks like a story that I've been telling myself and constructing, and the world has been telling me, is when I'm okay, when I'm finally there. Now, that just means that you're always a bitch to circumstance, because it means you're never at home, you're never at peace, you're always, and you're actually declaring, and you're always in process. I'm always in a process. I'm in the process of it. How many times have you said that or heard people say that? I'm in the process of building my business. I'm in the process of healing. I'm in the process of, so keep being in a process. Continue to be in the process, my friends, because you are just declaring more shit to continue to be there and show up, so you're always in fucking process. Instead of being at home now. Being at home now, and what that really means is, whatever you're in, if I'm in sadness, if I'm in feeling dislocated, guys, believe me, yesterday I felt like I got hit by a truck. I had a reflection show up for me that just triggered a deep core wound at a whole other layer and level, and I just felt it so intensely. The whole day I was just moving this, and I went through my own healing processes and things that I teach even when I'm in these retreat experiences. So it's like literally I could take that, I could see all the beliefs, the programs where they existed, I could actually remove it from my cells and my being. And so allowing that all to leave and move from me, being with it, I was at home with it. Because until you're willing to be with the discomfort, you will not allow yourself to be comfortable and at home in all places and all experiences. If ultimately, see, my ultimate intention and the thing I'm always aligned to and focused on is being at absolute peace. If I'm in absolute peace, that means I'm in absolute peace with every person, every experience, every place, every way of being. Because guess what? Then it doesn't matter where I am, I'm at peace. It doesn't matter who I'm with, I'm at peace. Okay, so, and I'm sure I could go off on a whole, the journey is like, not the journey, the rooster's like hallelujah. I could go off on a whole other journey and explanation of that. But what I want you to really get and understand is that when we feel confused, when we feel lonely, when we feel all these things, or you're feeling disconnected from life, or you're feeling disconnected from being happy, you're feeling all these things and wanting to just be at home. Home starts when you remember, see, we break through this confusion and we remember this is home. We are leading and guiding ourselves. We are the purpose. Our experience here is the purpose. To be at peace means, I get to be at peace with whatever I'm experiencing. So yesterday there was resistance for me. Being at peace with that and what I was experiencing and what it was there for was simply a reflection for me of what I was yet unwilling to receive. So I'll let you guys know it was a whole nother layer of allowing a whole other element and world of support and being worthy of support and being taken care of. Now, if you look at my life, you're like, well, what do you mean, Marci? You're completely supported. I'm literally traveling the world, going wherever I feel called to go, wherever I feel called to serve, do whatever I want to and feel called to do, nothing on my schedule. The only thing, again, I said on my schedule is next March, which we're talking like 6 months out or something. And I set it on my schedule because it was something I felt so called to do and felt so good about, and it being a part of like, this is what I feel called to give and serve. And so that's something that I'm going to put on my schedule. It's like I have my team completely running the companies, I let go of, because of this I am worthy of experiencing and fully having the experience of pure freedom, which I'm here to then teach these codes of liberation and freedom. I'm worthy of having so much freedom that literally I'm not running retreats anymore. I'm not running masterminds anymore. I'm not taking on personal clients anymore. You cannot get onto my schedule. The only experience you can have with me is to go to my retreat if you're called to that next March. So it looks like I am completely supported, and I am. Now that comes from being in a world where I didn't even feel okay about hiring a house cleaner, because I was like, oh, I could never pay someone to clean my own toilets. Oh, I could never, have some, and even when I realized that was a crazy story, that I could give so much more value to the world, and even playing with my kids, or or investing in myself to be able learning and growing, doing something, and paying a small amount to a cleaner, I still would be like, oh, let me tidy up before the cleaner comes. So going from that to then completely being supported, having a house manager that, I hadn't done laundry until I've been out traveling the world by myself, and being in some places so off-grid in private islands where literally I gotta wash my own clothes in the sink and hang them up to dry, being in pure simplicity. I hadn't done my own laundry for the longest amount of time, or because I always had a house manager that did the laundry and did the groceries and did the cooking, and nanny that assisted with my kids and picking them up from school when I couldn't, and etc. And so it might be like, so see, this wound is something I've been working on in layers. And I got a hit yesterday in that core wound that I was unworthy of being supported and completely taken care of. And I went back to and realized how at a very young age, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be fed. Like, we literally had to grow our own food on the farm to survive. I didn't know how I was gonna have clothes unless I earned the money. At 6 years old, I was working 3 jobs. I was cleaning houses, I was mowing neighbors' lawns with the push mower. I was like this little thing, and I was like pushing with all of my body strength. I was like leaning into it, pushing with all of my body strength, this mower, to be able to mow lawns for the neighbors and dust these old women's houses. And I swear they're just like, oh, this sweet little cute little 6-year-old is like, please, can I come dust your house and make a few dollars? That was so that I could buy my own clothes for school, and so that I could actually participate in anything else. And so as I looked back on this, I was like, whoa, I saw why for so many years I attracted men that I had to be the one to teach them how to make money and how to be in tune with their body. And I had to be like, because there was this thing about, oh, I'm not worthy of someone else completely supporting me and me completely being taken care of. And those reflections, each time, I remember the first time it was like, I'm alone, I'm not supported. I was like, whoa, interesting, where did that even come from? And I was like, whoa, let's look around at the evidence. I am so completely supported. Look at my team, look at all the amazing friends I have support everywhere. And this is number one, first I had to take responsibility when I saw that in my life, that I was trying to do it all and be it all, that I had to go, how do I ask for support? How do I create more support in my life? That's why I got a house cleaner for the first time, and that was a step for me. Then I got a nanny, and that was a step for me. Then I got more team, and then I got an assistant, and I grew on going, I'm worthy of support. How do I create that support? How do I give it to myself by setting up my support? And so if you look around and you go, oh, it's missing from my life. Interesting. Why did I create that? How do I actually get to now give that to myself? And so I built on support, but I also can now see it a whole nother layer. It was like still inside my system. So going to this place now where I can continue to say, okay, yeah, I'm worthy of doing what I'm doing, which is just going where I feel called in absolute freedom and liberation to serve the world. Then how much more support? We're stepping into a whole other game of supporting the world with our online programs and things that you didn't even have available and used to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to even be able to work with me. Now they're literally like so cheap and affordable and available for everyone. And we did that out of this next level for me to serve the world and where I was feeling called. And that also means a whole nother level of support to continue to do that. So I am here to joyfully serve the divine and all of humanity with these codes and this liberation. And while doing that, I float in a constant state of bliss and receive all that I require. That means I have to be completely whole with feeling completely supported and being worthy of all that support. Now, as I've gone through, I've just been doing intense activation work in India, as well as like my own work. That is the stuff that allows me to then clear this in my being and remember, this is all a part of my experience. I am at wholeness now. So breaking down those things where we then let life in, letting life in right now, being with life right now, letting that in and like letting yourself be at home, at peace in every moment, in every situation. There's nothing to strive to get to. It's right here and right now. And that's why, I went from, it was these experiences, and this is why experiential training, I'll say, I equate it to, experiential training, cleansing the cells and activating the DNA and just embodying the specific codes is like doing 20 years of, oh, let's see the thoughts. Oh, let's look at those. Let's look at the beliefs. Let's look at the programs. Ooh, where did that come from? Oh my goodness, now how is that showing up in my life? What are the actions and patterns and behaviors? Okay, now I gotta catch that pattern now. This is the new pattern. Oh, that's right. I gotta feel that this is untrue and I gotta remember this is true, and how do I align that the feeling actually matches? Because again, remember what I said in the beginning is that our feelings are telling us everything. So the truth always feels light and the lies always feel heavy. And this is why sometimes we can confuse ourselves and go, well, that thing feels heavy. that thing feels heavy because you're so scared of all the thoughts connected to it and all the resistance that is reflecting the heaviness. But what's behind it, the intention behind it, is you being free. That's when we move through those things of resistance that feel heavy. That's when you find the light. That's when you liberate yourself. So it's like you can't, for me, experiential training is, and experience is so powerful, because it's like you can never learn to be a swimmer by reading about being a swimmer. You get to actually jump in the fucking water and learn to swim. And so just talking about the things is why our ego mind and the constructs of consciousness will stop us. But when we actually experience and we get to allow the feelings and be at peace and at home and go, oh, we can see it as like, oh, this was that silly story that I took on. Oh my goodness, and actually remove that from my body. That story doesn't ever feel true anymore. When it felt true, it triggered my whole system. I wanted to go in patterns and behaviors, etc. And so it's like the first time that I did plant medicine, was really why, when they did a documentary on my life, they were like, we want to know how you went from a $2 an hour waitress to literally within, I think it was like 5 to 6 years, having $1 million clients, one-on-one clients. And then look at me now, you see the jump just a couple years later to where I'm literally complete freedom, no clients on my schedule, nothing to do, literally traveling the world. And it's out of me, a whole nother level and layer of healing I'm called to do. Not only in healing for the planet and being called wherever I'm called to heal the different things going on, but also to heal the layers for myself of being complete, absolute freedom, being completely with myself, without any other identity, without any other distraction, without any other thing saying you need to do this to have a validation, to be enough, to be worthy. It's actually me being here as an essence for the planet is creating that frequency. And so the reason I went from literally in such a quick time period was because my journey, a big, huge part of it has been about utilizing plant medicine, utilizing DNA activation, cleansing and clearing the cells, and it's been deep mystical healing that has allowed me to bypass in such a way that time doesn't exist, instead of the very constructed, structural ways of let's break down this thing that's creating disconnect in your life. It's like, instead I want to obliterate all of the things that are creating disconnect in your life. So I just felt really called to share with you how go beyond looking at, just feeling something and running the other way, feeling something and shutting down. Now, lean in to that feeling. Be at home with the discomfort. Get comfortable in the discomfort. Be at home with the sadness. Be at home with the feeling, even to say, oh, baby, it's okay. There's a whole other thing I could go off on, and I'm sure I'll share soon in the tribe on just like communicating with your little boy, your little girl, to just, it's okay. It's okay that I'm feeling sad. It's okay that I'm feeling fear, and allowing all that instead of shutting it down. Because even to try to accept it, this is a whole other thing on self-acceptance. If we go, no, I accept this, and then we really want it to change because we've accepted it. But we're still, when you say, I accept this, it's like you're trying to accept it. Instead of radical self-acceptance is really being with it. So what I want for everyone is to be able to move through these blocks and these energy, stories, or these ways that are constricting us, to allow ourselves to get to a place of remembrance that it's all actually what we planned. It's all actually what we designed for ourselves to feel and experience. It's like, this is Disneyland for us. This is the greatest, grandest adventure for us. And so until you allow yourself to be at home and return to that remembrance, the remembrance of being with yourself with this journey, you can choose to learn through bliss and joy and ease and grace and peace and prosperity and flow and all the support and everything being, aligned and guided to you. Or you can continue to operate through, I have to fight this human experience, and this is hard, and this is sacrifice, and there's all these limitations and all that. We can learn either way. And what I truly, want everyone to realize is that resistance is simply letting you see what right now at this moment you are unwilling to receive. So lean into the resistance, see what else is there for you to receive, so that you can allow yourself to receive more love, more joy, more play, more abundance, more prosperity, more dancing, more fun, more flow, all of it. I love you guys. Power of choice is yours. Choose your best life. Mwah. Lock it down.